Breathing in 26, breathing out 26. If you lose count, start again. Keep your awareness clear and pure. If thoughts come, put them aside.
I was probably one of the most dangerous people walking the streets of Hobart when I came back from Vietnam.
I'd say they were my dark years, or our dark years really, for the two of us.
I felt that it probably would do me good in regards to growing up a boy with an adventure in front of him.
I think if I hadn't done yoga, I'd probably still be trying to push myself too hard and end up rather broken.
Lived in Tassie all my life, apart from 2 years in the army. I was working at a wholesale grocery place in Hobart. Received a letter in the mail saying I was called up and had to report Anglesey Barracks on such a date, and that was it. Went up there, got on the bus, went into the army.
Well, I was a suburban boy in Sydney, and I just started an apprenticeship in structural drafting. I had no association with pride at all with what had happened.
1956, I was conscripted at the age of 20 and spent 2 years in the army. Came home, got married not long after, and thought that I was normal like most other people. Nightmares, strange habits, not go to bed, sleep in the chair, or try to sleep in a chair. Things that I thought were perhaps normal, but no, they were far from normal in hindsight.
We moved here in 85, and Trevor started to feel quite depressed and almost lost. And then I think he had a nervous breakdown, that he went and see the counsellor.
5 years into my career, my first deployment overseas was in 2000 to Bougainville Island. When I got discharged in 2010, I was at the point where I was throwing up from pain from running. My kneecaps needed to be replaced, but I'm too young to have that done. My back, I've since found out I have prolapsed discs in my cervical and thoracic spine. And my mental state, I finally said to the doc, I don't care about the stigma of PTSD and all that, I've got problems.
We had no, what they call a debriefing. One minute you're in a war zone, next minute you're back in the streets of Australia, walking around. It's supposed to be a so-called normal human being, whatever a normal human being is. They turned this into a killer, but they never took it away. I've taken 50 Valium every 2 days, headache tablets for tension headaches, sleeping tablets, try and get a few hours sleep overnight because of the memories around Vietnam, and plus the booze on top of that. I thought I was fine, but when I think back now, I must have been totally off the planet, mate. I was an animal, absolute animal. I was probably one of the most dangerous people walking the streets of Hobart when I came back from Vietnam. I could have killed anybody.
Being stressed all the time, you just block out. You know where your head is and you know where your feet are, but that's about it. So it's only you and I tonight, isn't it? We're not cooking for the... By that stage, I felt that I did need a bit of a help with my emotional state, and I'd heard of the VVCS, and the hardest thing I've ever done was to go down to there in the first place and admit that I've got a bit of a problem and I need a bit of help. And the easiest thing I've ever done is go back for the second session.
Be aware of the movement that you're doing and the coordination of your breathing. So that your mind is right there with the physical practice. Body and mind working as one.
Trauma and war experience is not a really easy thing to talk about. Many of the people we were working with felt quite isolated and alienated. And that's why practices such as yoga offer, if you like, an activity-based way of focusing the mind or meditating.
Breathe in, raise them, crossing the wrists. Breathe out, lower them down in front, straightening your body. Keep going with this movement.
Graham Perkins, he was the head of the counselling service at the time. He arranged to have a one-day workshop. So afterwards, Trevor and myself kept hounding Graham Perkins to try a yoga class out once a week for veterans. So we went from there.
Deepen your breath a little so that it starts to activate your body and help you to externalise a more active breath. Many of these men will have what we call disordered breathing patterns. It goes hand in hand with stress. They're stuck in the stress response. So their nervous system is kind of living in the past in a way, and those experiences can still seem very much in the present. Therefore, by applying our yoga practices, that the main thing here is to strengthen their relaxation response, that part of the nervous system which we also call the parasympathetic nervous system. If we can strengthen that, then gradually it can override that over-aroused stress response. So in that sense, it's a very good fit for this. As each part of the body is named, mentally feel that part without any physical movement. Focus only on the right hand thumb. Now the right index finger.
Hopefully when they're out there in their day-to-day lives and something's come up for them, something's triggered something for them, those things can support them in that moment so that they keep their ground, their feet on the ground, and don't lose their cool.
And then hold your warm palms over your closed eyes, feeling the energy and warmth going from.
The combining of the body and the breathing and the mind gives you that holistic view of yourself and knowledge of yourself. You can feel your body tensing up, and then you can tell yourself, "Oh, that's the mind that's giving a message to tense the body up."
There's a practice called Triadic candle gazing where you focus on a candle flame, and I'd sit there, some nights I'd sit there for hours into this actual practice of candle gazing. And it sort of got to the stage where the Vietnam stuff wasn't coming up, but I would bring it up myself and look at it and be the witness of it and let it go. There was definitely one technique to save my life.
Oh, here's a big one. Look at that big weed. That creation of life and helping it exist and looking after it, that's my sort of therapeutic stuff.
Can you see any more weeds in there?
When I do that as well, I do my full yogic breaths.
One in the corner?
When she sleeps, I'll sit down on the couch downstairs. I've got a little LED candle that I can look at and just meditate for half an hour. I've got a little baby monitor so I can make sure if she wakes up I'm not still there going, ooh. The mudra I use, I believe, gives you the biggest breath. 12 to 15 seconds for each breath. It's nearly 4 to 5 breaths per minute. So you really are slowing down your metabolic rate. and getting into a deep relaxation.
The meditation side is an incredibly important aspect in terms of not just looking at changing your thoughts, but it changes the mind as well. We found that there was a huge, for example, decrease in people's need for counselling. It also, we found there was a decrease in hospitalisations that veterans needed when we studied, also decrease in medications. They didn't need their antidepressants so much. Certainly, statistically, there's been a huge decrease in the need for any of those other treatment options.
After the first 6 months at yoga, drinking started to reduce. I was on medication at the time. That reduced, and within probably about 12 months, most of the changes had already happened. I'd reduced alcohol, virtually eliminated medication, and by about 2 years into yoga, I was off all medication and just a social drinker. I just have a drink now and then.
I decided myself that with the yoga techniques, yoga tools I had, I was going to get off all medication. I gradually decreased the amount of tablets I was taking until I got to a stage where I don't take medication at all now. That's solely through the yoga techniques I was using.
Lizard is listening to the lullaby breeze. Bandicoot snug as a hug in the leaves. Yoga's helped me sit back and see the bigger picture of a lot of things, Dolly. Really for that? I used to sit and think about some things, and it just would be a cycle where I could go now, you know, that happened, it's in the past.
Your thoughts, you'd be just bound up in thoughts. You know, I'd go to bed of a night and I'd lie there with all these thoughts going through my mind. And then gradually through yoga, you learn that you can let these thoughts go. You know, you don't have to be caught up in your mind all the time. You find space.
Even now, I've got to pinch myself sometimes, wake up in the morning and realise how good I actually feel, how I was back then. From living in hell, mind-wise, to becoming a yoga practitioner, yoga teacher, to a yoga swami. I'm a very lucky man. So inhaling to press the spine and raise the head. Breathe back into his hands over the head and breathing out on the arms. Take the beauty of the rose in our heart. Say to yourself mentally, I feel totally at peace. I know of calmness through my mind and body. I feel totally at peace. Let's offer this feeling of peace and calmness to all beings in this universal suffering, and not as privileged as what we are.
The yoga group has resulted in me and I'm sure a lot of other people coming together socially and enjoying each other's company, finding friends. We do have a good rapport and a good communication because we are all accepting ourselves.
It's amazing how you get to know the blokes and get to know somebody's got a pony and somebody else has got a fetish for motor cars and another bloke's building a plane, and it's really good, really interesting, and you keep abreast with it.
Yoga, Subtitulado yoga, has changed my life. It's really brought me back to the brink, I think. All the things we do in yoga have been going on for 4,500 years, and only it's taken me 8 years to find it. And it is where I am now, healthy, fit, and love life.
Part of my accepted disabilities was
I was diagnosed with PTSD. Now, after coming to yoga for 6 or 7 years, my health's never been better. In fact, I've never felt better in my whole life.
The benefit of yoga on a wide scale would be enormous in people being more friendly. It reduces anger. I could see a society sort of benefiting enormously from this.
I think it's because it's a personalised thing. It's not, you're not relying on an exterior force, you know, a god if you like. It seems to be an internal thing that, you know, you've got to deal with life yourself, not rely on somebody else to, or some other entity to see you through it.
If I had my way, yoga would be offered every capital city throughout Australia. When these blokes are being discharged from Afghanistan or Iraq, mate, they're going to be out in the streets like we were, nothing. What are they going to do? Let them walk around? Get hold of a rifle? Blow people away? They need yoga. They need yoga. I stress they need yoga.